Welcome back to another episode of Broke Up, Not Broken. I'm Jamie Lima, founder of Allegiant Divorce Solutions, where we help people prepare for, navigate, and recover financially from divorce. This podcast is your one-stop shop for mastering your life and your finances throughout the entire divorce process. In today's episode, we're thrilled to host Amanda Haro, the voice behind Fuck It Mothering. Love the name. Love the name.
Thank you.
We cuss a little bit here every once in a while. So fuck it, mothering. Amanda brings a fresh, fearless perspective to the realities of motherhood, discussing everything from the unspoken hardships to the unexpected joys. Today, we're going to explore how her approach can empower mothers, especially those navigating the complexities of parenting post-divorce. So whether you're just starting to consider divorce or you're in the thick of it, this episode will equip you with the knowledge and tools you're going to need to master not only the personal challenges you might be facing, but the financial ones as well. So grab a cup of coffee or your beverage of choice, buckle up, and let's once again get you personally and financially empowered. Amanda, it's so great to have you here.
It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I think we're going to be cussing a lot today, but
yes, absolutely.
especially talking about divorce. But
yes.
I know you have a little bit of experience in that realm, so maybe you can share a little bit about your story and how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I got married when I was 21 and I had my first baby when I was 22. And then they kept coming like clockwork every 2 years. So I had 4 kids in 6 years, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And I was in a very one-sided marriage. So it got to the point where I was faced with this decision of just like, what am I going to do? Because I'm really, really unhappy, and being so unhappy was affecting me and my experience of my own life, but it was also affecting the way that I was showing up for my girls, or like how I was able to show up for them. I had chosen to be a stay-at-home mom, which added another layer of complexity because of the financial aspect. Like I'd been out of the job market for, at that point, it was 8 years. And, you know, like I had said, I got married so young, so I didn't have a ton on my resume to begin with. And so there was a lot to think about. But ultimately, the decision that I made was just like, the kids need one functioning parent, and I can't function if I'm still in this marriage. And also I have all girls. And so I didn't want to set the example for my girls of like, this is what a marriage looks like. This is what the wife should be doing, you know, everything. And so, yeah, I made that choice to complete my marriage. And looking back, it was the biggest act of self-love that I had acted upon at that point in my life.
That's incredible. And what are the age ranges of the girls?
So we're in birthday season, because not only did they come 2 years, they came almost exactly 2 years. So it's October 8th through December 1st, all 4 of their birthdays.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like the holiday season. It's nuts. I have really good planning skills. So we are almost 14 and officially 12, officially 10, and almost 8.
Oh man. I'm the dad and stepdad to 3 girls, and they're a little bit on the older end of the side now.
Yeah.
We were at 21, 19, and then my youngest is 12. But
okay,
man, 4 girls. That's tough. That's tough. You girls are tough when you're that age. Trust me.
Yes.
I just try to stay out of the way most of the time. So you're in this. This is an amazing story, because your situation was in many ways, kind of like a lot of people that are listening, and certainly was like mine, where it's like it's not going to be easy to leave, and this is going to be challenging, but I can't just stay on this path, because I felt the same way. I'm like, I don't want my kids to look at me and be like, this is how this is supposed to go down. Like, this is not the environment. This is not what the marriage should look like. Mm-hmm. And so take me to that moment, or like, was there like the impetus for making that decision? Like, I know what I felt, but like, if you had to rewind the tape, like, what was that? What were you feeling in that?
Yeah, for sure. It took me about a year of, going back and forth and to really like make that choice. And I'm the type of person where like, once I make a choice, it's done. Like, I don't do the like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Am I really making the right? Like, I do all of that shit before, but once I've made the choice, it's done I'm never going to go back on it. Like, that's just my personality and how my brain works. So yeah, I really took like a year to make that choice. And it was hard. I did not take it lightly at all. I was a child of divorce, and my parents' divorce was really messy. It was really hard. And honestly, they did not get along. They weren't able to to be in the same room and not be like bitchy or bitter or fighting or any passive aggressiveness until I was like fucking 16. Like it was not fun. And also at the time I was like very, very deeply Christian. And so I had this thought of like, this is a sin. I'm a bad person, And so I had to like undo all of those thoughts and really like examine them and be like, do I really want to believe this? Do I really want to keep these thoughts and opinions of what it would mean about me as a person? Or can I still be a good person even if I do this? Like, can this be neutral essentially? And so now my opinion is that like the fact that the divorce rate is 50% isn't a problem. It just means that for 50% of the people, a lifelong partnership just simply doesn't work. And it doesn't have to be like a bad thing. That doesn't have to be something that like, oh, there's something really wrong with how our society is going. I mean, I'm going to go feminist on you. Apologies, not apologies. Women didn't have any options. I mean, my grandma wouldn't be able to get a credit card or be able to buy a house without a male co-signer. So like to get a divorce back then, it was a really big, scary thing financially for women. And it's not the case now. Yeah. So it's like women who would have stayed before because they seriously didn't have any other options. We have options now. So why are we doing this?
Yeah. And when I say it all the time that like, because we work, you can get all of the feminists all you want. I mean, most of the people that are listening here are going to be women, and secondarily, 95% of the people that we work with are women, and mainly because women are smarter when it comes to this stuff. Sorry, dudes. We all have John Wayne syndrome as men. I mean, even in my own divorce, I was like, yeah, I've got this handled. Got it handled. I'm a certified financial planner. I know all about the finance. I got it. And I look back and I'm like, well, why did I make this mistake or that mistake? It's because you let emotions, get involved. Right. But when it comes to mostly women are reaching out, asking for the help because they are smarter when it comes to this type of stuff, and they know they need the help and they want the support. So, that's why we do the work that we do. And so you decide to get this divorce, you work through all those emotions, you take the year to kind of get yourself dialed into this, and then the divorce happens, dust is settled on the divorce. What then? Were you able to find another job? Like, did you start your own? Is this where the business came from? Like, what happened?
Yeah. So first of all, it's not as simple as just like you get the divorce, and then my divorce took 2 years. Like, not enough people talk about how long, like, just the actual divorce takes from the point that you like file the first paperwork to the point where you're signing the final paperwork. It takes so much longer than I would have expected it to. Mine took 2 years. So our financial position before, my girl's dad is a trust fund baby. So his parents were supporting us. He wasn't working. I wasn't working because I wanted to stay home and take care of the kids. And so everything that we owned was technically under his parents' name, which is another reason why it was baffling to me why our divorce took 2 years, because nothing belonged to me. I was just like, I want my kids, I want my car, I want my personal effects, and that's it. And his family had come to me and offered to continue to support, because at the time our youngest was 2. They offered to continue to support financially the girls and I so that I could stay home with our youngest until she was in kindergarten. And then the pandemic hit, and they wrote me an email in April 2020, which is like the height of it, saying, actually, we're not going to do this anymore. So you're on your own. I don't know if anyone else listening tried to get a job in 2020, but there weren't a lot of jobs. So before I got married, my Nana, she has always had she actually just finally retired at the age of like 85, her own accounting business. And so she taught me accounting when I was a teenager, and I had 3 years of accounting and bookkeeping experience under my belt. It was just like a decade old. So I was applying for accounting jobs because I'm like, I need something that's like stable. I can't just go work at like Taco Bell. But it took 2 months for me to find a job. And I struggled with a lot of imposter syndrome and just like fear because I didn't have very much on my resume. I really just had like my own like will and guts to just get me through the door. And my mindset was just like, if I can just get an interview, I'll charm their pants off and I will get the job. So I did do that. And I'm really proud of that because I really felt like I was just like tossed in the deep end of the ocean and I swam my way back to shore. So I'm really, really proud of that.
You should be. And when did Fuck It Mothering start?
So that started 2 years ago. So I sadly lost my father at the end of 2021 and was left a small inheritance. And I had gone through a lot of personal transformations in my own life. Like when my dad died, it wasn't just that. I also was ending a 3-year relationship and I lost the house that I was living in. So like everything was just like up in flames again. And it led me to I found life coaching at that point in my life. And the tools that I was learning literally changed my life. And the reason why I was able to like take it in was just because I was at such a low point. But I made huge transformations in like how I felt and how I was experiencing my life and my stress levels. And I felt more in control for the first time, even though everything was still like in the process of being up in the air, that I was like, this is the key to life. And so many moms struggle with burnout and overwhelm and stress and anxiety just because motherhood is so consuming that I would feel really selfish if I kept this to myself. And so I had the small inheritance. And even though I had the safe corporate job in accounting, I took the leap and I was like, fuck it. I quit. And I quit my job and I started my business.
Oh, incredible. You brought up what I had a question for you on, which is, the burnout, right? Like it's easy to get to feel burnout. I mean, I felt burnout in my own divorce where you're trying to balance all these demands. You have to go to work and try to perform every day. And you've got kid responsibilities and you've got your own personal goals and objectives that you have for yourself. So how do you address those challenges in the coaching that you do? Like, because divorced mothers face all kinds of challenges, like in balancing out the demands that parenting has.
Yeah. And learning how to co-parent too with, someone who's I have a pretty good co-parenting relationship with their dad now, but it did not start that way at all. Like it's very difficult to adjust to that new dynamic. There's, we're all human. Like there's bitterness, there's resentment, there's pettiness, and like all of this stuff that you're having to deal with. So like what I do with my clients who've gone through this too, and they're more like parallel parents with their kid's dad, because it's still to this day, just like not to the point where they could co-parent. It's just working on letting go, because in my own experience, I feel the most stressed and the most activated when I am wishing their dad would be somebody else. I wish he would handle it differently. I wish he would have said something differently. I wish he would like do something differently. And once I can let go of that and I just allow him to be who he is, and I show up for my kids the way that I want to show up for them, and I don't hold him to that level because that's not my job. That's not his responsibility. And I let that go. I let him show up however he's going to show up. And I just focus on like, how do I want to show up for my kids? It alleviates so much stress instantly.
That's an incredible point. And so it's like you basically have to be like just be who you are, never change, just be the one, like that foundation for them. Like, and that's kind of what I've tried to do too. Like we parallel parent. There's definitely no co-parenting going on. That's impossible.
And that's necessary sometimes. And like, it's okay. It's okay if you have to parallel parent.
Yeah. And from my perspective, like the kids know what they're going to get when they, they're going to get discipline. They're going to have some expectations for me. But at the same time, like further as, for the rest of my life, or as long as I'm breathing, they're going to be the most important thing. Right. And they're always going to get like, so like I can't remember last time I hung up the phone with them and it wasn't, hey, love you guys. Like, and which is something that like I never heard, when I was a kid, right? Like I can't remember last time my dad was like, "Hey, I love you," but we get it because we're dudes and we kind of have that relationship, right? But like as long as you're just the same person over and over again, and they know what to expect, I think that maybe I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel for myself personally, like that's the best I can do, and that's and in the situation that I'm in. And I think
that's all you can do.
I think it just works. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you can do. Like at the end of the day, the only person that we're responsible for is ourselves. And, other people are responsible for themselves. And it just doesn't serve us. Like it doesn't serve me to think about like, oh, if he was this way instead, it would be so much better for the girls. This is sad, to make all those judgments. It's like, that doesn't serve me. What is the point of that? That's not helpful to this situation. What's helpful to this situation is focusing on myself and focusing on like, okay, how do I want to show up as a mom? Like, fuck the other dude. Like he can do whatever he wants. How do I want to show up as a mom and not let like him affect me? Cause it can get to these like petty dynamics where it's like, you don't want to enable the other person. So, you're just like, oh, well, I'm not going to take them to that appointment because that's on their time and they need to be doing that. But it's like, okay, but if your kid has an appointment and the other parent isn't going to do it, fucking take him to the appointment. Just let it go.
Who's going to suffer?
Like what's best for your kid in that situation?
Why let the kid suffer?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Let it go.
I've played that game with myself a few times and like finally you're just like, I just gotta, karma will come back around anyway. Yeah, exactly. We're all human, it's not a problem if you find yourself like fighting with that pettiness again. It's okay. Just as long as like you recognize it and you let it go and you move on. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I just still kind of sticking with the theme of like the aspirations that a lot of women have, right? And trying to balance it out with the demands of taking care of the kids and the home and work and all that other stuff. I mean, you basically just said, hey, like, fuck it. I'm just going to there is no plan B effectively. Right. It's kind of what you did. Yeah. So how do you, and one of the things that a lot of the women that we work with, number one thing that they think about is like, how am I going to make ends meet? And they want to have that like financial independence, right? Because they never had it.
Right.
They I don't know anybody that we've worked with at the moment that is a trust fund baby or married to a trust fund baby. A lot of them are, the stay-at-home mom who have a husband that was the breadwinner, took care of all the finances. Most of them don't even know how to log into the bank accounts or the credit card accounts. It just like all that stuff happens. And now they're trying to figure out the financial independence of this, right? Right. But there are like, so what advice do you have for them so they can gain financial independence and achieve the aspirations and the dreams that they have for themselves? Like that's got to be something that they come to you all the time with. Yes.
You need to work on your self-confidence, like worrying about worrying about making ends meet. It's totally normal to go there. And like when I have a client who's just like stuck in the catastrophizing of like, just so anxious about like the worst case scenario, I'm like, okay, fuck it. Let's go there. Take me to the van by the river. What is your worst case scenario? Like your absolute, like you're homeless. Then what? What would you do? And what is surprising? Every single person always has an answer to that question. And once you realize that, like, even if the absolutely worst thing happened, that you would know what to do. You would have someone to call. You have some sort of thing in your, like you can see your brain starting to figure out that problem. You can trust yourself. And when you can trust yourself, then it's not so scary to dive into learning all these different things, these new things that you have to learn, like it's just not as scary when you fully like trust yourself to get through anything that comes your way. It's going to be okay. And like with me, with my business, it was terrifying. And I was like, what if I fail? What if this is like the biggest mistake of my life and I let go of this job? And the thought that I just kept coming back to was just like, I'll just go back to accounting. It's okay. It'll be waiting for me. Like, it's not going to go anywhere.
It always seems like we and yeah, I'm not a mindset guru, one of these, these guys that you see on TikTok that are just like, oh, like, like cold plunge mindset type of guy. That's just not me. Right. But what I see us do a lot, and I fall into this trap myself, is you go to the worst place, and that's like, that almost becomes reality. Right. Like, oh my God,
Right.
like if I do this thing, that thing is going to happen. And then 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it never happens.
Right. Yes. Your brain is just trying to keep you safe. So it's also really important to like just understand how your brain works, which has been the piece of thought work and life coaching that has been like I just nerd out on, is just learning how the human brain works. It's so helpful to just realize, like, when you are anxious about something and you're catastrophizing, that is your brain doing what it's supposed to do, which is trying to keep you safe. And it's just realizing, like, oh, my brain is just doing what it's supposed to be doing. But all of these thoughts are optional. They're not true unless I make them true, and I can choose to stop them at any time.
Yeah. Do you feel like if you had the right support system around you, some of those thoughts and those feelings you could keep those thoughts from creeping in, right? Like
100%.
Yeah, I'm just as you were saying that, I was like, the reason why people feel like that a lot of times, I think, is just because they're like, they just keep all this stuff in, right? And one of the things that I talk about all the time is creating Team You through divorce. Creating Team You, which is having divorce coaches and life coaches like yourself, and good therapists, and obviously you need to have some financial support, like people like us as CDFAs, and then maybe even your legal support team. But one of the biggest mistakes I made in my own divorce was pushing my family away, because I felt like, first off, I'm 3,000 miles away from most of my family members, and I did not want them worrying about what I was experiencing from 3,000 miles away. Right. And ultimately that just pushed people away. So like, how do, like, talk a little bit more, maybe if you can, about like the community support that's needed, like the work that you do, like how just like this could impact people.
Yeah, like the support piece is so important, because it's like, once you start talking to someone about like the stuff that you're worried about, it just that in and of itself can alleviate stress. And, also the other person has a catastrophizing brain too. And to have that reflected back to you, because they'll be like, oh my God, I have that happen to me too. It just makes you feel less crazy. But I think the thing that keeps us from being the initiative in our own lives with like creating community is shame. I think when we're feeling shame from any aspect, especially around divorce though, because some people just have negative opinions, you just don't want to put yourself in a position where you could possibly get someone's negative feedback, or like, oh, well, why are you doing this, or anything like that. So you hide instead. And if you can recognize like when shame is having you hide, and just kind of work on that. And like, for me, it's always about like, I just make this promise to myself of like, I always have my own back no matter what. And I know who I am as a person. I know my truth. I know my intentions. And if somebody can't see that, it's okay. It's okay if they can't see that, but I try to not let that stop me from reaching out to people, because support is so important. That's what's going to be what helps you to get through this transition in your life with like your sanity intact.
Yeah. Do you think there's still a stigma attached to divorce these days? Or do you think is it more of like everybody goes through a divorce type of thing? It's
weird, because it's like we're getting more like used to it, but I do still think that there's a stigma attached to it, because the general consensus is that divorce is bad. Once we can get to the point where people see divorce as neutral, it'll be a lot more comfortable for everybody. But since the majority of people think that like divorce is bad, your marriage has failed. My marriage didn't fail. My marriage was just a shorter period of time than I originally anticipated when I first got into it. That's all that happened.
Yeah. You just have to mindfuck yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like your thoughts are creating your reality. And I know that's like kind of woo, but it's true. Like your thoughts literally are creating your reality all the time. And it's like other people's thoughts are creating their reality. So if someone shares their opinion with me, those are just their optional thoughts. I don't have to take that as truth.
Yeah.
Just like I don't have to take my own thoughts as truth.
It's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. This being a loosely held financial podcast, we didn't talk too much about the financial aspect of divorce today, but this is, let's just call this the carte blanche section of the segment of the call today. And any you see this, I mean, so many women come to you and just dealing with all kinds of stressors related to the financial aspect of divorce, I'm sure. So like, what would you say, like, what do you have to share in that respect? I mean, is there anything that our listeners need to be aware of, or things they need to be focusing on? I mean, Annie, it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
How you want to.
I mean, like the financial aspect, it's a big piece of the puzzle, right? I'm not trying to say like, oh, fuck it, you're fine. You don't worry about that at all. Like that's it. It's very, very, very real. But the main thing that I would love for every woman to just like take on, if you took anything from this, take this, to trust yourself. You can trust yourself. You can learn whatever you need to learn. You can go get that job. You can go back to school. You can like trust yourself to figure it out. And I bet if you look back at your previous experiences, you'll remember other times where you thought like, holy shit, I'm not going to get through this. This is way too much. I don't know anything about this. And then you got through it. And like, remember all of those times when you got through it. So you can like build up this evidence bank in your head of like, yeah, I can do anything. I don't have to be scared of this. Like when I got divorced, I handled all of the finances. I paid all the bills. I did all of that. I didn't have any credit though. My credit score didn't exist because all of our credit was under his name. I had to start from scratch. I had to get a credit card with like cash, like where you back it up with cash so I can build up my credit, even though I had just spent like 9 years because we had been together and like consolidated our finances before we got married, building up his credit, you know, like, but I have my own credit now. I learned how to do it. It's okay.
Awesome. It's a great message. How can people get in touch with you if they want to chat with you about their situation and maybe get some help?
Yes, absolutely. I am on Instagram and YouTube mostly. And the way that I work with clients is a little unique. I have a on-the-go coaching package because moms don't need anything else to schedule. So it's a walkie-talkie app that I use, and you fit coaching into your schedule. You don't have to like block out an hour every week.
Tell me more about that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So Voxer is this walkie-talkie app. It's free. And so they go in whenever they have pockets of time. So I have clients like voxing me from the car line at school, from sitting outside of karate, from the grocery store. I've actually done Zoom calls with a Zoom client while she's in her car. Like it's just, because we don't need anything else to schedule. Like I have put stuff off for myself for years just because I was like, I don't want to have to schedule another appointment. So it's like, why are we doing this? Because most coaches work with clients. It's just a slot of time that you have every week. And I do offer that for clients who want that, but most of them, they're in Voxer, and I get back to them like a certain day of the week. So I have like Monday clients, Tuesday clients, Wednesday clients, and so forth. But so they go in there.
Asynchronous.
Yeah. Where they go in there whenever they have time, and it's there, and I get back to them on their scheduled day.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love it. Love it. I don't know how we could impart it. A little tough to do on the financial side, but I guess maybe if they have questions and things like that, but that's pretty powerful. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your invaluable insights and for your dedication to supporting mothers through Fuck It Mothering. For our listeners who want to connect with Amanda and explore more about her empowering content, check out her YouTube channel. She has an amazing YouTube channel as well. Follow her on Instagram and Facebook at Fuck It Mothering. And remember, if you're navigating the financial complexities of divorce, Allegiant Divorce Solutions is here to help. Visit allegiantds.com for more resources and expert financial advice. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more conversations that inspire and empower. And until next time, keep embracing your journey with courage and honesty. We'll see you again.